All right, all right. There he is, my guy, Mr. Alec Aponte. We're back at it for our 8 p.m. show every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Man, what are we talking about today, Alec? What's going on today?
Picking a mentor, picking a piece of information from someone, beliefs, adopting someone's beliefs, taking that information and acting on it. Not getting conflicting data, and why that slows you down.
That's a good point that you bring up. And something I think about when it comes to like picking and finding the right mentor. Something I always think about is like, you don't want, as you said, you don't want all these different people that you're listening to. You don't want 5 different people, 10 different people. Like pick maybe 1, maybe 2, 3 at the very most people to listen to, mentors to listen to, right? Because as you said, like if you have 5 different mentors or 5 different individuals that you're listening to, one person's going to say one thing, the other person's going to say another thing. You're like, man, which one do I listen to? Who do I listen to? Right. So it gets very conflicting, and there comes a conflict of like, man, like you have so many people that you're listening to. Something that I've done, just my background with finding and picking the right mentor, something that I've done is I picked one person 7 years ago, about 7, 8 years ago, right when I was coming out of high school. I couldn't trust myself. So I'm like, man, I need to find someone that I can trust in. And that was, as we know, that was my Uncle G, Grant Cardone. And like all I've been doing for the last 7 to 8 years is just going deep on Grant Cardone, going deep on his information. Now I'm at a point where like I'm slowly transitioning and diving into another individual's information, which is Alex Hormozi, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers know about. But really just like, man, if you guys are watching this and you're tuning in right now, like, and you're like, man, I don't have a mentor, like just find that one person. Find that one person that has the life that you want to have. They're continually creating, right? They're not just comfortable. They haven't just created success and became complacent, right? They're continually creating, they're continually moving forward, and they're continually progressing because they know that their full potential is so much higher than what they've already achieved. So find that right mentor, right? So, that's one of the most important things is like when I went to find that mentor, somehow like Grant Cardone just kind of like, landed in my lap. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start listening to this guy. This guy seems pretty smart. He has a great life from what he was showing on like Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And then I started to dive into his information. I'm like, man, this really resonates with me. And I'm like, man, I'm going to keep riding this wave. I'm going to keep, drinking the Kool-Aid and start learning more about this information and this data that this individual is putting out into the marketplace. So, it's very important, like finding a mentor who you can listen to, who you can observe, and who you can watch from a distance, right? Because one of the things that a lot of people run into when it comes like with finding a mentor is like, man, they believe that they need to have like that one-on-one personal connection. You need to make calls with them every single week. You need to be able to, get in a personal, like one-on-one, like in-person meeting or whatever it might be. Like, no, like you can literally get a mentor and learn so much from someone just from afar. So, some things that I've learned as I've been, diving into my Uncle G, Grant Cardone, and him being my mentor, right? So that's a very big thing there.
A couple thoughts of what you said. So yeah, I think a lot of people, if that mentors, a couple notes. So if that person, that mentor, mentee is not right in front of them, I think a lot of people do nothing. And basically that person, you can never shake their hand. You can never meet them, but just find someone who puts out a lot of content. You can listen to them. You're just with them all the time. They don't have to be right next to you. They don't have to be holding your hand. So, and I think that's actually a big misnomer is a lot of people are kind of, I don't know, maybe you're in an office or something. You're waiting for like a mentor to show up and walk through the door. That's probably not going to happen. If you look at, most of the people you're around, they're probably people you don't want to be like, which, you wouldn't trade your life for theirs, so to say. So it goes back to my next point is when you pick one person, it's just easier to, like, for me, love my mom and dad to death, but I wouldn't have I wasn't dying to be, I wasn't aspiring to have everything they had. Like there's a lot I would take from them. Absolutely. But there's also a lot of things I was like, oh, maybe I don't want that. So when I was able to say, okay, I'm not listening to that, especially when the advice comes from money, other topics. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to listen to this one thing. And had I, went into that harder, I would have gone even faster because I had meant multiple, which it was conflicting data. And when anyone's confused, that's going to stop you from taking action. It's just too much information, and you're not certain enough to really, take the right amount of action.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And man, when it comes to picking a mentor, finding the right mentor, something I, really looked for when I was looking for that mentor is like, man, I want to learn from someone who is excelling in all areas of life. Like, dude, they got abundance in all areas of life. They're not just abundant and prosperous in their financial life. Like anyone can change their finances, but man, how do you change your physical life? How do you change your familial life? Like, man, maybe it's a man you're listening to as a mentor. Like, man, they got a great wife, they got some kids, they have a strong family foundation, right? They're spiritually well-rounded. Like, I want someone that has everything, right? And that's what really attracted me towards my mentor, and something that I would recommend all the viewers to really just tap into. Is like, man, if you're looking for a mentor, maybe you have a mentor right now, and maybe it's not the right person. And you're watching this right now, and you're like, man, my mentor does not have everything, right? They don't have abundance in all areas of life. Well, hey, start to look for a new mentor, right? Or maybe start listening to another individual. So that's something I personally look for when I was looking for a mentor, looking for that right person to really listen to observe from a distance, and to dive into their information, because I want to make sure that I'm getting the right information. There's so much information out there, as we both know. There's an overload and there's an abundance of information, but how do you get the right information that's going to help you? Most importantly, it's going to help you, right? Your mentor, they need to be providing, life-changing information. This information that's actually going to help you excel in your life, right? If they're just giving away information that's just simply information, and it's not helping you, it's not of any value to you, then go find someone else, because there's so many individuals out there like Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozy, you got Bradley, Ed Milet, Patrick Bet-David, there's so many great people, right?
Yep.
And Tim Grover, Elon Musk, Bill Gates.
Ahead, but there's countless.
Countless. So find the person that you resonate with the most, that you're able to be like, man, I just want to listen to this guy over and over and over again. And it's funny because that's how I've been with Grant Cardone for the last 7 years. Like, literally, all I listen to is Grant Cardone. The only books I read are Grant Cardone. People always ask me, like, man, do you ever listen to anything else? Do you ever read anything else? Like, no, I just go deep. And that's another key point that you actually brought up, is this mentor that you're picking and choosing, they should have an abundance of content, an abundance of information, and you can just keep going in on them, and you're like, man, when does this end? It never ends. It's like a stream that's overflowing, and that's something that you definitely want to look for when you're choosing and picking the right mentor.
Yeah, and I mean, once you have that, I mean, for me, I could have done a better job of it, but it's kind of, if you take a GC, for example, you don't know that person. So you kind of operate you have certain beliefs prior to listening to information. So you're kind of hesitant, but man, dude, if there's anything that I would have done, you're absolutely correct. What I would have done different is really don't take the bits and pieces of it, but, really internalize it, but adopt those beliefs, because that person's beliefs is why they are where they are. And if obviously you're picking a mentor because you're saying, okay, I like what this person has. Well, if you can adopt their beliefs in time, in the right vehicle, you'll start to see those results of more what you want in your life. So don't 50-50 it, yeah, I'm going to, because that's exactly what I did. And if I could go back, that's what I wouldn't have done. That's what I would change.
It's a good point. Definitely don't want to make that mistake. You want to just go all in, 100%. As I said earlier, just drink the Kool-Aid, right? Swim in the Kool-Aid. Yeah, as our guy on Facebook just said, Kenneth Sanders, got to go deep on one mentor that aligns with your purpose and potential to dominate the marketplace. Yes, that's so true. Very true right there. And that's actually another GC fan right there. That's why he resonates with me very well. Shout out to Mr. Kenneth Sanders. Go follow him on Facebook. But man, it's crucial. It's definitely crucial. Like, the information just has to be like this information that's actually going to change your life.
Yeah, because what you're actually doing is you're changing your thoughts, your thought process, your beliefs. So in order for that to happen, I mean, yeah, you got to be like immersed in it 100%. Otherwise, that all that other old information, everything you have up to that point, it's still there. So you need to dominate it. You need to like it's like exterminating it everywhere, all over. Otherwise, it's still going to be there.
Oh yeah, yeah, because we were all ingrained with like the incorrect data, the incorrect information from birth up till high school. Maybe it's till college, whatever the time period might be. Like, we're all ingrained with this incorrect data, like the middle class data, the average lifestyle data, the victim mentality data and information, right? We're all ingrained with that wrong information. So the first thing you have to do, as you said, Alec, you have to strip away the bad data and the bad information, because if you try to add the good on top of the bad, it's not going to work as well. So because right, as you said, we're working on changing our beliefs. We're working on changing the way we operate, the way we think, the way we take action. And that's one of the biggest things with finding a mentor, picking the right mentor.
1,000%. And for me, like, you could pick like, two names, like a Grant Cardone or a Pat Bet-David. For us, we're in insurance. So it's like Pat Bet-David's story is very, for anyone in insurance who's younger, it's like you can resonate with it, a lot. But my point in saying that is you're better off if it's a Pat Grant, like you're better off taking one person's information and actually executing on it, even if it's not right, 1,000%, than just like kind of, being 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It could be the wrong information, but just you're going to learn that in time. You're going to learn that in time. At the end of the day, if they're successful people and they're real, there's no way it's the wrong information, as long as they're real people.
Wow. That's a key part. That's a key point, man. Dropping bombs. You got to be able to execute on it. Like, this information that you're getting from your mentor, the data that you're getting from your mentor, if you're not executing on it at a high level, then it's almost useless. Like, like you said, you rather get the wrong information but execute at a high level than get the right information and be like 50% with your execution and actually implementing it in your life. So, just finding the right mentor who will give you the right advice, the right ideas, and they're already doing the things, right? Like, that's one of the key points there as well, is like, your mentor should be doing what they're putting out into the marketplace. They should literally be, taking action on what they're preaching, on the information that they're giving. If they're just out there teaching and preaching and giving information, but they're not executing on it in their own personal life, like, get away from them.
Yeah.
Just get away from those type of people, right? Like, they're talking the talk, but they're not walking the walk. You want people that are actually walking the walk. You want people that are actually taking action on what they're giving out to the marketplace. You see it so much all the time, especially with Instagram, YouTube, Facebook nowadays. People are just spewing messages out there.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, not consistent with what they actually do on a daily basis. Like, it's much better to get business advice from someone who's doing business and scaling a business, not someone who maybe they did business for a little bit, but if they haven't done business in a year, 2 years, 3 years, they sold a company. I mean, granted, there's a lot you can learn from someone like that, but it's those people who are constantly giving information, but they're not really out. They're not out in the field. They're not in the day-to-day grind. Because I mean, there's like, I don't know, like I'm not gonna like, all right, like a guy like Dave Ramsey. I mean, he's been sitting there for years giving the exact same, but it's like it's the same advice. Like it's like that doesn't really work anymore. It's the whole pay off your house like that, and that's I just give you an example that I don't believe that is correct information. I think that is information that worked in the past. Yeah, he's about paying things off, getting credit, and that's my exact thing. He's been sitting there for years. Yeah, this is how you do it. This is how. If he went out in the real world and he was starting over, he'd get smashed. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So you just have to recognize that this person's in the game. They're in the game. This information is applicable in 2023, not 2000.
Find someone that's in the trenches right now. They're actually doing it. They're still doing it, right? And this goes back to what I was speaking about earlier. Like this mentor that you have, man, that should be an individual that is continually just pushing forward, continually expanding their potential, right? They're not becoming complacent. They're not becoming comfortable. They're continually growing, right? Because man, the last thing that you want to do is to outgrow your mentor. It could happen. It could definitely happen, but your mentor needs to be this massive player, this big being, spiritual being in the universe that like, man, they're so big that you can't even touch them because man, they've just done so much for the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And that's what I look for as well, is like, man, how long has this person been in the game? Anyone could be in the game for 3 years, 4, 5 years, 10 years. But man, has this person been in the game for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Like how long has this individual actually been in the game, right? It's longevity.
More than that, because I can do insurance for 15 years and make $100,000 every year. Like
but it's also the result. It's also the results, right? We both know that it's also the results. If they're getting the right results, then yeah, that's a person you want to dive into.
And just to kind of, I guess, and keep this going is like, why would you want a mentor? It's literally like, well, if you want to go to, I don't know, maybe you're in Jacksonville, Florida, all right, you want to get to Miami. Okay, well, you probably need Google Maps, like, or else you're just never gonna. I mean, I couldn't. I don't know. Lodi, you're good at directions. Maybe you'd end up there, but I wouldn't know where I'm going. So without a mentor, I feel like you're definitely just not. It's not going to happen, or it'll happen much longer for no reason, because there's people. A mentor has already lived a life. They've already had experiences. If you were an intelligent person, you wouldn't make mistakes on your own. You would just listen to what they did wrong, and then you would not do what they did wrong, and you get there in half the time.
Man, you must have just stole my thoughts. Exactly what I was just thinking about as you were saying that. Like, you should be able to learn from your mentor, not just what they're doing that's right, but also what they're doing that didn't work. Like, you want to find someone that's also being like very authentic. Like, they're authentic, they're very transparent, they're showing maybe some of their failures, some of the challenges that they had along the way, not just the good stuff. Right. And it's something that I personally challenge with myself as, I try to be a mentor to other individuals and try to, build out my brand, is like, sometimes I'm always just showing the good stuff. Like, no, like I need to show the bad stuff and the negatives as well. But that's also something you want to, look for in a mentor, is like, are they actually like showing like what didn't work? Because you want to learn off of someone else's mistakes. You don't want to learn from your mistakes, as we all know. But that mentor that you have, like, man, it's your tour guide, right? It's that individual that's going to guide you to $100+ million per year business, or maybe $1 billion in real estate, right? Like, like GC, for example. I mean, he's got $4 billion, $5 billion in real estate. Who even knows the number anymore? But the cool thing about it is that also with a mentor, you want a mentor that is being very transparent. Like, they're putting their stuff out there. They're putting their lifestyle out there. They're showing other individuals what they have, what they got, how they got there, right? Because you don't want to, I mean, me personally, I don't want to study someone who's completely closed off and doesn't like showcase or show the world what they're doing. right? Like that person is so like they're so like blocked off. Like let it flow. Let the power flow to other people, and that's what a good mentor is going to do. And that's what you should look for in a good mentor. They're constantly just they're 100% transparent. And that's one thing I love about GC, Brad Lee, Ed Milet. They're always showing their stuff off, and it's
Hmm.
because like man, it's just real. Like you want someone that's real.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Ed Milet drove like the fake Mercedes. Bradley was smoking crack, whatever. But exactly. They're gonna tell you, oh, this is where it went wrong. This is what I did good. You should do this. And then at the end of the day, when you find a mentor, one, preferably if you're starting out, because you're gonna go faster. You're gonna get less conflicting information. Once you pick a mentor, then it's just ultimately it's execution. You got to kind of have blind faith. Like for me, like just being real, I was like this Grant. I found his videos as well. It's kind of like okay, like this is like that. I remember it was the first one where he was like getting it was those real estate checks. I think that was like one of the first videos. Then I saw a sales video, but in time it got hard, right? And then I was like, is this right? I started questioning it, but you just gotta execute on it, regardless of like if you're going through massive adversity, it's not working well, and then you're kind of detached, like, damn, I listened to this guy for 3 months and I ended up here. You have to just understand 3 months is not enough time. You gotta truly execute on the data for a period of time, like commit. Listen to this person for a year. If it doesn't work after a year, I'm willing to give a year of my life all in. If I don't see some kind of results, if I'm not better for it, then maybe you find someone else. But if you execute every day, there's no way you don't end up in a better place financially, all areas.
Oh yeah. And I think we touched on this earlier, but a lot of individuals are looking for like a mentor that's going to hold their hand,
Yeah,
a mentor that's going to really just be there with them step by step. Like you're not going to find that. Like it's very very difficult to find that in the marketplace. To actually
that's
find, yeah. What's that?
that's what I thought it was. Like initially, you
hmm
know, someone would show up.
I mean, you can certainly pay for their time. I mean, you want to do a coaching call with a one-on-one coaching call with Grant, I think it's like $100,000. Brandon Dawson, 100,000, whatever it might be for an hour. Like, yeah, you can pay for that time, or maybe you could just soak up all the information that they're putting out there for free, and you could just soak up all that information from a distance, right? Like, you don't need that one-on-one intimate relationship with a mentor. It's
Mhm.
like you said earlier, it's a massive misnomer in the universe that like, man, you need someone that's going to hold your hand. You need someone that's going to be there with you. They're going to make calls with you. They're going to check up on you. Like, no, dude, like just find someone where they've got massive amounts of information. It's an overflowing amount of information that you can continue to tap into. It's never going to run dry. They're continually growing themselves, and it's an individual that's very transparent. They're putting out the realness of what they're doing in life, what they've grown, and most importantly, it's an ethical individual. I always look. I want a mentor that's ethical. I want a mentor that's has integrity, right? I want a mentor that has the attributes that I want to have in life, right? They do the right thing. They have the right heart. They're trustworthy. They're ethical. I mean, those are some of the key things that I'm looking for in a mentor. And
Mhm.
I know a lot of people viewing this, they've probably made a lot of mistakes looking for a mentor, and we're just giving it to them straight, like, hey, this is what you need to look for when picking and finding the right mentor.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we mentioned GC a lot, but it's whoever, because success is, I guess, defined different by everyone. But whoever you're willing to trade lives with, right?
Mm,
It's like that. That's a question you just ask yourself, and then it makes life easier too. You don't have to listen to your friends so much. I mean, my dude, I was 18. I was so hard headed. Like I was like, nah, you guys are wrong. But it made it easier because I had other information. You know, when I got into insurance, if I had listened to my dad tried insurance. It didn't work, you know, but I wasn't I already had found GC. I was kind of like, and I was freaking, hungry dog on about. I was 5 a.m. I was just, working 2 jobs, insurance. So what he told me, it didn't matter because I already decided on the information I got for me, it was Grant. I got that information. I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. And then shortly after I moved, that was something Lodi did, something GC recommended. I was reading the book. I was like, yeah, I'm going to move. And other variables that made it make sense. But this all happened because I had other information. Like had I listened to mom and dad per se, there's no way I would have ended up here. And that's not a shot at them or anything. I'm hinting at that. Like you if you really want to end up where you want to end up, you really do need a mentor. You really do. Otherwise, it's just like the chances of you getting there or getting there when you want to get there, right? I don't want $1 million at 40. That's too old for me personally. I'd rather not. I'd rather have $1 million much younger. So just food for thought. I mean, without a mentor, it's like I played sports. You played sports. I had a coach. One-on-one. I do the dribbling drill, all that, of course. So naturally, when I got into business, I knew I needed to find a mentor.
Yep. And just touching on what you said earlier, Alec, is like the mentor is going to allow you to speed things up, right? You want to get to X, Y, and Z. Like if you don't have a mentor, it's going to take so much longer, right? And, finding a mentor, as you said as well, I want to hone in on this point, something that really, resonated with me. Like you want to find a mentor that you can be like, hey, I can trade lives with them right now. I would be 100% satisfied. I'd be like, man, I love life, right? If you can't do that with this individual that you're studying, this individual that you're going deep on, and you're like, man, I want to trade lives with them right now, then that's not the right person. Me, like you said, I definitely agree with that. That's very, very key point right there. Very key point.
And I have a key thought in like what is rich and what would you really trade for? Because I think people like they'll trade lives with a millionaire uncle, but then they realize like he's not even really happy. He doesn't even really have fulfillment because he's it was a GC book, but he's a millionaire. He's freaking in the pool at 1 o'clock, like bored, apathetic, just like like what life do you really want? Like a guy like GC, $1 billion in real estate, a guy like Pat Bet-David he was worth hundreds of $1 million by his 50s, part ownership in the Yankees. Like Bullet, these guys have Bullet, their income is unbreakable. They could stop working and they'd have generational wealth, the both of them. And so it's like, what do you really think of as well? I would say you're not going for rich, go for wealthy. Because man, with rich is just having a high active income, making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, you should define that for yourself and understand that, money is a big part of it, and picking and thinking big when you pick a mentor, because, just making, like I said, the millionaire uncle, I think you get there, you're like, damn, that was kind of easy. That wasn't so hard, because it's not that crazy of a goal. It's just society makes it out to be. And then you get there and just realize, I didn't take care of all these other areas. So pick someone who's thinking big and focused on all areas for sure.
That's right. Man, good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Appreciate everyone tuning in, talking about how to pick and find the right mentor. Make sure to watch this over again. Share this with other individuals if you found value. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. And we will see everyone next weekend.
I found my quote
Sunday.
Before we let them go, I found my quote from last weekend. Yeah, I had to find it. Come on now. Blessed is the person who is too busy to worry in the daytime and too sleepy to worry at night. And if you don't know what that means, you're not getting after it, man, dude. Like by 6, 7, 8, 9, dude, your brain should be fried. You can't think of anything but sleeping, and then just getting after it tomorrow. So no, that was my quote from last time. I couldn't think of it out the top of my head, so I had to find it. We'll see you guys next time.
Let's go. We'll see you guys next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for tuning in. Your boy Ryan Lodi and Mr. Alec. Let's go.